everybody, it's Cheyenne and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a video on cord packing. Yay! This is actually something new that I just started doing a couple months ago. It just passed in Oregon that FDA's, with going through a course and getting a certain certification, can actually pack cord. So very exciting, and I'm not an expert at this by any means, so please feel free to leave comments or suggestions down below if you think other assistants will read them and find it helpful for cord packing, because like I said, I just learned this and I am new at it. So I just kind of wanted to explain exactly what it is, and then just some kind of techniques that my dentist has told me or that the instructor had told me to pack cord a little bit easier. Of course, the first thing is, why would you pack cord? So as a dental assistant helping your dentist, or a dentist, or sometimes even hygienist, will pack cord. Now, the most common reasons that a dentist is going to have you pack cord, or that he's going to be packing cord, or she's going to be packing cord, is for a buccal filling, which I can show you in my model here. So like a class 5 or a buccal facial filling that's going to be on the front of the tooth, maybe towards the gum line up here, which would be a buccal 5. They're going to want to pack cord to kind of get that gum tissue away from the tooth a little bit, and then also to stop any gingival bleeding that may happen, because cord, and it's literally just cord, it just looks like cord, like so. You see that? Cord is soaked in Hemident, and some cords actually come impregnated in Hemident, which sounds kind of weird, but it's basically just pre-soaked in Hemident. But this cord is not, so I will have to soak this in Hemident before packing it around a tooth or on the facial surface of the tooth. Now, Hemident, it helps the gingival bleeding, and then also helps retract some of that gum tissue away from the crown margin of the tooth, just to make it easier for an impression for a crown prep or for a buccal 5 facial filling. So the other way that a dentist would pack cord is for a crown prep, because when the dentist removes tooth structure from the tooth so that a crown will kind of fit like a shell on the tooth, he's going to pack cord around the crown margin of the tooth to help that gum tissue kind of pull away from the crown margin and help control the bleeding. So when he takes an impression, the impression turns out well, and that the impression material captures the crown margin, so when you send it off to the lab, that they can make an adequate crown to fit that tooth, so that the crown is closed all the way around, there's no open margins, and that it fits well onto the tooth. So those are two most reasons why a dentist would pack cord or have an assistant pack cord for him. Now, when it comes to packing cord, I've been watching, lots and lots of dentists pack cord for years and years and years, and they make it look extremely easy. And then when I was told I was going to be doing this, I was like, oh, that looks easy, like for sure, like sign me up. And then when I actually get in there, it's really hard. It was a lot harder than I expected. Gum tissue is very strong, and I was surprised how strong it was trying to get, the cord packed down in there. Now, there is lots of sizes of cord. There's lots of different techniques to cord packing. Some dentists will pack a smaller cord, and then they'll pack the larger cord on top. So they're actually packing 2 cords. My dentist only packs 1 cord, and he prefers the size 1, but the smallest size, I want to say it actually goes to a 000, but I have a 00 here, and then I think it goes up to like a 3. There might be more sizes, I'm not quite sure, but there are different sizes of cord, and all that means is it's going to be thicker. So if he wants a 3, it's going to be thicker. The easiest cord to pack, of course, is the smaller cords in my opinion, but like I said, everyone's different and each dentist has a different technique. I remember the first dentist, or one of the first dentists that I worked for, he would pack a size 0 cord, and then he would pack a size 2, and then he would he'd let that sit there for about 5 minutes or so, both those cords placed, and then he'd pull the 2 off but leave the 0, and then take the impression, and then sometimes with the impression the cord would come out with it, or we'd go remove the cord before making the temporary. But like I said, my dentist now just packs 1 cord around the gum tissue, and then he'll remove it and then take the impression, and then I make the temporary. So with that being said, to prevent any issues to the gum, it is said not to leave cord soaked in Hemident or impregnated cord in the gum tissue longer than 10 minutes. Most dentists that I work with, they leave it sitting there for about 5, but you don't want to leave it there for any longer than 10 minutes because it could actually damage your gum tissue. Right, so we're gonna pack some cord. So there's lots of instruments to pack cord. This is the one that my dentist uses the most. Kind of feel like a beauty guru here with my little cord packer. It's kind of shaped like a spoon almost, but it has like a little circular flat end here, and then same with the other end. There are other cord packers that look almost like Greg's. They're just flat ends that you put in there. Everyone has a preference. You could always find your own instrument that works best for you. This is the one that's in my office, so I had to learn off this one, and this one's hard. I'm not gonna lie. I don't even think, no, this is an older one. Oh no, this one has it. This one actually has a serrated end to it, and my dentist likes that, but someone that's new and just learning how to do this, I feel that it gets stuck on the cord and I'm kind of pushing in the cord then accidentally pulling it back out, which is not what you want to do. So if you are doing a crown prep with your dentist, you're gonna get your cord out. So if it's not already impregnated, which it should say on here if it's impregnated or not, or you should have Hemident that you're gonna be soaking it in, or like Viscostat, other things like that. So of course I do these videos in my home, but if you are in a dental office, you wanna make sure you're wearing gloves, you wanna be using sterile scissors. I'm just using these because I'm at home. So with cord, my dentist, he actually likes very long cord. He likes a rather long tail, so when he packs it, and it's easier for him to take out the cord, so he likes a tail hanging from the tooth. The most common way to measure cord to make sure you're getting enough is you use your pointer finger, and you wrap the cord around it once, like so. I don't know if you guys can kind of see that. To kind of replicate the size of a tooth, and then you cut it. So then you have a cord about this length. And then that should fit around your tooth. So like I said, you just want to wrap it around your finger and use that as your measuring technique to figure out the size that you may need. Now, if you're just doing like a facial filling or something like that, you're not going to need a large piece of cord. You're just going to need like a little sliver, like maybe like this, just to push up against the gum tissue, the facial part of it. So then when you have it measured, I'm gonna soak mine in some water to make it easier to pack. But if you're in your office, you would be putting Hemident on your cord. Many offices and many assistants do it differently. You can put Hemident like in a Dappen dish and put your cord in there. I've worked in offices where they pre-cut pieces of cord and stick it in the Hemident bottle, so you just pull it out. There's lots of different ways everyone does it, but I don't really have a preference. I usually just soak it before the procedure. When I'm setting up, I'll put it in like a little Dappen dish with some Hemident and just soak it in there. I don't like leaving it in the bottle. I just feel like it may weaken the cord, but that's just my own preference. I don't really know if that's true or not. But anyways, so I soaked my cord in some water just to make it easier to pack. So I do have this model here. And it's the only model I could find that had like squishy gum, so I could actually pack cord around. But I'm actually gonna get up a little bit closer. Hi. So let's say we're gonna pack on this back molar here, okay? So of course, this is gonna be a lot easier on the model than on an actual person. If I was doing this in a patient's mouth, I would grab cotton pliers and grab the cord and then just place it nicely around the tooth. Now, also with doing this, I've learned that as an assistant, when you're packing cord, you don't have another assistant helping you. So there's no one to like blow air on my mirror if it's fogging up, if the patient's breathing a lot. If the gum tissue is bleeding, if I can't see where to pack the cord, I'm having to get my air water and blow some air to help the blood get away from the tooth so I can see. But yeah, it's a little bit of a struggle by yourself. I definitely see why dentists have assistants. It makes life a lot easier. But anyways, so the cord's on there. Now you're gonna get your cord packer. My dentist told me that he thought it was easier. Oh, I don't know if this is gonna fit in between here. I just have to put that in between. Or I might have to do this tooth. We're gonna do the tooth in front of it because the contact with this back molar is, I can't fit this between it. So anyways, where you wanna start your cord is gonna be your preference. My dentist told me that he thought the easiest place to pack the cord was interproximally. So that's where I've been starting it. I think the instructor that taught us told us to start it on the lingual side. The most challenging part to pack cord is the facial side of the tooth. Because in my experience, that is the most common area that people have recession. And I actually packed cord a couple weeks ago, and this gentleman that I packed cord on, he did have a lot of facial recession, and it was really hard trying to pack the cord because I didn't want to damage his gum tissue. Because if you pack too hard, if you don't get in the sulcus, which is where you want the cord to be, if you go too deep or if the gum tissue is thin, you could tear it. So you got to be really, really careful. And his facial gum tissue had a lot of recession. It was a lot of recession, and it was very thin. And I got to a point where I was like, oh gosh, I don't know if I'm doing this right. So I actually quit messing with the facial because I felt like I was damaging the gum tissue. And he was bleeding a lot, and it was really hard to see. So just be really careful, especially when you're learning. If you're having a hard time getting the cord in there, don't be afraid to go to your dentist and ask him to help you, because he doesn't want you to damage the gum tissue. You don't want to hurt the patient, and you both want a good impression to come out, so you get a properly made crown. And also it's a learning experience. Don't be afraid to ask for help. But anyways, so yes, packing interproximally I think is the easiest way to do it. Now, with this type of cord packer, you kind of have to pack the cord in the gum tissue, and then you kind of turn it to lock it into place, okay? Which I'm gonna do a few more of these. And then you kind of turn it to get it to stick. I'm gonna show you up here. So I'm pushing it down, and then I'm turning to get it to stick. Turning. I don't think it's gonna go there because that's too much. It's too tight. So now we're over on this side. I'm gonna pop it down, and then I'm gonna turn it to get it to stick. That seems to be the technique that's most helpful towards me right now, is pushing down the cord and then turning to almost release the cord, and then also get out the gum tissue. Okay. So ideally you want to leave a little tail sticking out. Not sure if you guys can see that. So you want to leave a little tail sticking out. This I wasn't able to pack in approximately this model, that it's just too tight, the contact is. But you do want to leave a little tail because you want to be able to grab that cord. So if we were in my office, we'd let this sit for 5 minutes, and my doctor just puts a piece of gauze on the tooth and has the patient bite down and close for 5 minutes. Hemodent does have a very awful taste, so they might complain of that. That's why I put the cotton there to keep their tongue off of it. And then we come back in 5 minutes. He'll look at it, and then he will get cotton pliers and he will pull the cord out like so. So that's why you leave a tail, to make it easier to pull out. And then he'll blow some air around the crown margin and make sure that the gum tissue, has kind of pulled off of there a little bit and there's no bleeding. If there's a lot of bleeding, sometimes the patient has to come back, because if they are bleeding a lot, the impression's not going to turn out well. So he'll check all that. We usually will rinse it and rinse out the patient's mouth, because once again, the Hemodent does not taste good at all. And then we will take the impression. All right, guys, so that's basically it. That's cord packing. If you're gonna do it facially, it'd be a little bit different, which I can show you that real quick. We're just gonna use this little guy up here. So cord's up there, push it in, turn to release it. push it in, turn to release it, push it in, turn to release it, like so. And then that cord is packed underneath that gum tissue. And then that would just help pull the gum tissue off of the tooth and help with any bleeding so the doctor can properly place that filling on the facial surface. So yeah, I hope you guys found this video helpful on cord packing. Again, I am new, so please leave me comments down below. You know, help other assistants if you guys have any tips or tricks to cord packing, or even some instruments that you have used or found helpful for that. There are also ways that you're not packing cord to help, you know, with crown preps and things like that. Every office I've worked in, they don't use those. They always pack cord. I've never used any of the other products. I want to say one's called like Trexident or something like that, but it is a liquid that you put around the tooth and then it helps kind of retract the gum tissue a little bit and stops bleeding. We use Viscostat in my office for bleeding, which is a Hemident type of material, but we always pack cord for crown impressions. My doctor just thinks that they turn out a lot better that way. But there are like lasers and other fancy things that dentists do. I just have never worked in an office that does that. Please leave me comments. I love that assistants are able to communicate with each other down in the comments below and kind of share tips and tricks and all that great stuff. So yeah, thank you guys for watching this video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.